Hello, fellow kind of critics. So rather than watching Fox Lux, I guess I picked a slow weekend and decided to review Robin Hood. And Robin Hood is the best worst movie of 2018, no doubt about it. For those unfamiliar with the story that has been told hundreds of times, Robin Hood is the English folklore of an outlaw who would take from the rich and give to the poor. With his band of merry men and his iconic bow and arrow, Robin Hood is the famous criminal that has gotten its few share of memorable and garbage films that really shine a light on what can be done with the character story and how it reflects on society based on the time period, I guess. In this case, Otto Bathurst, who directed my second favorite Black Mirror episode, figured that society deserves a voice for the rich and poor metaphor, something that felt like a trend from almost a decade ago. And now it's releasing, with several political messages that feel like white noise. And it's also very poorly dated. Speaking of dates, this should have just went full-on Hansel and Gretel, steampunk, or something more fantastical, because this is clearly a more glamorous interpretation of medieval times, the shittiest time to be alive. Don't worry, they get snazzy leather jackets, hoodies, suit coats. Bows and crossbows are guns. Arrows with a stick of dynamite are bazookas. People within the bowels of coal mines are wearing perfectly knitted wool caps, and knights had armor that was relative to police riot gear. Yeah, this is all really subtle, especially when you realize that Robin Hood was drafted in basically the war in Iraq. I mean, the Crusades against the Muslims. Like, what the hell? I'm surprised they didn't attempt to make a suicide bomb or hold a stick of dynamite and chant, because at least then it wouldn't feel like it was being a pretentious piece of shit. The superhero mythos aren't that subtle either. Robin is reduced to Batman rich boy turned vigilante, and Jamie Foxx gets to be his slave/butler, emphasis on the slave, whose only character trait is that he has a metal nub replacing his hand and can talk in an accent that is never fully developed or appropriate, considering where he's from. Not to mention that of course the bad guy hates Muslims and wants to build a bigger castle with walls to keep them out. Also, he ensures that pay tolls and taxes on his people are high, even though most of them can barely afford to get the shit off their skin. Except for the lead actress, of course, who has skin as clear as day and tits still perky after 5 years. Aging and time are once again this movie's strangest weakness. Beat for beat, this is every superhero origin movie you can think of, from Dark Knight to Spider-Man, as well as bits and pieces of dialogue that would be no stranger in a film like V for Vendetta, or the TV show Arrow. Like, yeah, this is all basically Arrow, a 2-hour alternate timeline Hawkeye mess that outdoes itself the more you watch it. Everyone really does take most of this garbage they're given very seriously. But Taron Egerton, as the titular hero, really outdoes the charm and demeanor we see from him in the Kingsman films, and really proves how shitty he can be in moments of dramatic tension. He's just a silly little kid, and it was really hard to take him seriously in this. Jamie Foxx somehow topped his role as Electro by not only feeling like he outsold the role he was given, but also phoning it in until the next Django movie decides to bring him back. A poor waste of a cast with a story that nobody wanted, especially how cobbled together and Frankenstein it feels, especially when it steals from other better films. I hope whatever the creators were going for was all in the name of some sick, ironic joke, because not only did I enjoy those ridiculous arrow fight scenes, the bloated production values, and the performances, but I realized how much I appreciate crap that really thought it was going to change the world or make a statement as the next Hollywood blockbuster, only to stumble into this strange obscurity of mediocrity. What's honestly next? A modern take on a fairy tale? Oh,